race for the General Secretaryship of the National Democratic Congress is heating up. Candidates have a few months to convince the rank and file of the National Democratic Congress as to why they should be the preferred successor to Asiedu Nketia, who's obviously leaving office after serving the party for 17 years. He says he's stepping down. This leaves the number of candidates jostling for the top job to 3. There's more on Asiedu Nketia.
General Mosquito, as Asiedu Nketia is popularly called, has been the NDC's General Secretary for the last 17 years. Shrugging off contests and winning easily, Asiedu Nketia is seeking a change of environment, it appears, and is said to be eyeing the job of Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, who is currently the national chairman of the party. A number of persons, including Asiedu Nketia's deputy, Peter Boama Otukono, have all indicated their readiness to replace him, deepening rumors that Asiedu Nketia was preparing to go in for another challenge. After months of speculation, General Mosquito says he will no longer contest for his current position.
17 years. There be any why Congress Yamanya below 80%.
For the last 17 years, there's been no internal election where I've had less than 80%.
Obia ubisa obia General Nkode Ameko. Look
at all these persons who want to run for General Secretary.
I say, me consider Sunday man Enti the make chairman say General Secretary no there. Take it from me, Uncle Bill.
But he is not planning to retire. And the conversation for the last few months has been that Asiedu Nketia will be seeking to rival Ofosu-Ampofo for the national chairmanship position. Indeed, some have claimed the elders within the NDC have been trying to broker a deal between the two due to the potential division such a contest will cause within the NDC. Asiedu Nketia says such fears are unfounded and all but confirming that he will be running for chairman.
Matiti say, Ebinumo Kase, Asiedu Nketia Nkwande oni Ampofu Koprea, party Numu Beche, Echako Hefa.
I've heard people say if I contest Ofosu-Ampofo for the chairmanship, the party will be divided. How will that happen? The party only last week announced a roadmap which will culminate in the election of national executives in December of this year. This contest, if it comes off at all, will test the strength of the party, even as they resolve to win the 2024 election after losing the last two. For Joy News, Kweku Asante.
Well, one of the names emerging is Fiifi Kwetey. Well, I caught up with him yesterday to find out what he has to offer to the National Democratic Congress. Honorable Fiifi Kwetey, it's such a pleasure to be talking to you here on Joy News.
Thank you very much, Blessed. I'm happy to be here.
And many would say you've gone under the radar. Is that an appropriate qualification of what's happened to you after you exited Parliament?
Yeah, I do a bit of that. It's something I like to do, sometimes just to go a bit into the background, watch, reflect, and recharge the batteries. And when the moment calls, I step up again.
And I guess your battery is fully charged now. Absolutely. And that's why you're putting yourself up for elections. But let's get to it, shall we? Yeah. Of course, the NDC has always known Asiedu Nketia as your chief scribe, the general secretary of the opposition NDC now, as you are. But he served over a 17-year period, obviously in times when you were in power, out of power. And now he says he's no longer running for office. But many would say he's a politician. On the day of elections, if Asiedu Nketia shows up, what happens to the Fiifi Kwetey candidature?
You mean when he shows up for
elections as general secretary?
Oh, okay, that's what you mean. That's what you mean. Actually, let's say it this way. Yes, I mean, myself actually were elected into office at the same time. In 2005 for the Koforidua Congress.
So you were there when he stepped up?
Yeah, no. So basically, we both went into the national executive at the same time. I was there in charge of communication. He was the general secretary. So basically, I happened to, like him. And also for some people who was then the national organizer, and also my contender, Evisa Friankra, was deputy general secretary. All of us went in at the same time together with Haruna Ediso. But some of us, of course, after we won, some of us were called into government. He remained at the level of the party. For some people also moved into government. So quite a number of us moved into government while a few remained. So I would say that I should believe that he has made it very clear that he's definitely not going for the general secretary after 17 years. And I can understand why, because he believes he's been in that position, he's giving the best he can for that position. I feel he understands that, listen, there's nothing more that he could do again that he hasn't really done. So this is a moment for him to, as he himself indicated, either to take a rest or maybe to seek for another position.
I'm asking that question.
I trust his word, because I had actually stated earlier that if he showed an interest to running for the position, there's no need for me to run, because I feel he has done a good job. As far as I'm concerned, if a good job is being done, there's really no need to work.
Okay, so if we're to get you, the reason why you're stepping up to contest for the secretaryship of your party is because Johnson Asiedu Nketia is no longer there.
Yeah, let's say it this way. The reason why I'm stepping for this position is because I believe we need what you call a perfect replacement. I mean, to continue where he left off.
So some say when you do that, you're not being your own man. Is Fiifi Kwetey being his own man? I mean, a man of his own words. I mean, full of your conviction and going in as a politician, believing that indeed the grassroots of the NDC believe in your capacity, a reason why you want to contest. And not because you've done an assessment, seeing the opportunities there for you, now that Johnson Asiedu Nketia is receding, then you come into for a cool job, as someone would describe.
No, I would think that's the wrong way to look at it. So, for instance, if you have an incumbent, like we have in most democracies, so for example, let's say, for example, that Obama was an incumbent. And as long as Obama was doing a good job, there's nobody in the Democratic Party who would want to run against Obama because he was doing a good job. The same thing when you have Rawlings was an incumbent, nobody ran against Rawlings. When Prof. Mills became virtually the incumbent, I mean, it was simply a matter of, as long as he is doing a good job, why challenge him? You know, for some of us, you must appreciate, this is not something that's a personal ambition business. It's about putting yourself in a situation where you can help a group, and for that matter, present yourself to be helping your country. If it were a personal thing, which I'm obsessed about, then you can say, no matter what, I'm going to run for it. But for me, it's a question of making sure that the group does not become, should I call it, diminished by the absence or the departure of one person. I did the same thing even when I wanted to stand for communication.
Oh, you've done this before?
No, I'm not talking about general
secretary.
at the
time, yes.
I mean, I'm the kind that unless I feel there is a vacuum, I don't really bother. If a good job can be done by somebody, I don't have a problem.
In fact, we'll be talking about what you'd be bringing on board. Sorry if I'm dwelling on Johnson Asiedu Nketia, because 17 years is no mean an achievement for us, and that's why we need to talk about it, what he's done for the party. You seem to be touting this same gentleman as someone who's fought for the growth of the NDC. Some say, if that were to be the case, you should have been in power by now.
Who are you talking about?
Johnson Asiedu Nketia.
Oh, you mean about the fact that he has done a good job?
Yes, that's what you are saying.
Oh, no, I mean, that he has done a good job, I think it's not lost on members of the NDC. It's not even lost on the members of the NPP. They clearly do know. Now, as to whether that means you must constantly win an election, remember, winning an election doesn't just depend on one man. Yeah, a number of things go into win an election. So, for example, you have President Kufuor, who had lost elections and eventually won. President Mills lost election and eventually won. Nana Akufo-Addo lost election and eventually won.
Right.
So, winning or losing election takes much more than just one person. There's so many combination of factors that go into it. Let me say it this way. Because of the good job he's done, my thinking would have been that possibly would have even lost even more, but for him. But for the fact that he's done a good job as a general secretary. Our performance could have been far worse, but for him. So I would say I clearly salute the job he's done. And now that he's actually decided to literally exit that position, it's time first and foremost to salute what he's done and also to present ourselves in order to ensure that we are maintaining the standards and possibly going ahead with this.
Well, we run an executive presidential system. So if the ultimate doesn't go to a political party, the belief is you're losing out big time. John Dramani Mahama did not win. And obviously it's affected the NDC's chances to steer the affairs of the country.
Yeah, but I think it's true that every political party wants to win an election. So that really is the ultimate all the time. But it should be much more than that. We should also understand that a political party, you have what you call millions of people who are mobilized behind you. Our job at all moments is to continue to inspire them, is to continue letting them understand that this is a project known as Ghana, and our responsibility is to make sure that this project is a better project. Our responsibility is to make sure that our members understand what the ideals of the party are, and those ideals must actually be adhered to in order for the party itself to remain strong. And once the party remains strong, it means we are talking millions of individuals who are prepared to make a contribution to making the nation better. So it's not simply an issue of you must win power at all. That obviously is a desire for every political party. But much more than that, there is a need for a mobilization of millions of supporters, making them become better citizens, making them much more patriotic, in order for them to be able to contribute to the agenda of a nation. If it is all about just winning power, you start getting the kind of degeneration we've seen over the last 6 years, where everything is simply about winning power and therefore principles get sacrificed. You start doing things that are not right for a nation. You destroy the economy. You lie about education. You lie about everything. You blame everything, Tom, Dick, and Harry. At the end of the day, you collapse the economy in the process. So we must distinguish between just desire for winning power and understanding the political party. Much of that is an ideal. There is much more than that, which is about making sure you're mobilizing people and letting them appreciate there's big objectives. This is about country, making the country better for them to make.
Some would say a lot of water has gone under the bridge, so it's fine. Yes, 2020 may have been in the past. Now 2024 is before you. Your party has started what it describes as a reorganization process. We've seen the branch level elections, and you're somewhere around the constituency level now.
Preparing for that.
The hope is that by December, the national race will set in. Even before that, you believe you'll be the best man to replace Johnson Asiedu Nketia. First of all, what's your assessment of the reorganization of the NDC? The party claims that it is a grassroots party. Are you getting things right from the grassroots?
I think so. I think the current executives are doing the best they can. You know, once you're in a position, there are clearly limitations, resource limitation and so many other things. But I mean, given the constraint that we are facing, of course, made worse by an economy that is actually in complete jeopardy, that is on its knees, I would say that quite a lot of good job is being done. At the branch level, a lot of the elections have gone on very well with minimum, what you call hitches. We are now preparing for the constituency. A lot of the constituency have gone through vetting, and therefore, within a matter of a couple of weeks, we should be having the constituency elections. After that, then we go to the region, then we go to the national. So congratulations to the team. I think, I mean, given the constraint we are facing, they have not done.
So you believe that there's a good job in terms of the reorganization of the party?
Absolutely.
December is fast approaching. You'll be coming up against some names we're hearing already. You've talked about some of them. You're not shy about the names anyway, because obviously there's an open secret for you. We've heard some names, the incumbent Deputy General Secretary. We've also heard from your colleague who served with you in government, Elvis Ifriankwa. Right. What is your assessment of the chance that you see that you have going into this race?
No, I think they are worthy contenders. They've also dedicated comrades in the party. Elvis in particular and myself have gone, I mean, as far back as possible. We are very good friends as well. But this is a democratic contest, and we believe that ours is to be able to tell the party why, let's say, Fiifi Kwetey is a better person to be able to take us forward. I think much as all of them have good qualities, I believe I stand taller. One, because in the first place I'm actually much more ancient in the party than all of them. I've been right here.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you've been around for a long time. So you are the big brother, if you want to describe yourself as such.
I've been right here from 1992.
And they acknowledge that?
And of course, I mean, there's no dispute about that. In 1992, I was actually the chairman of NDC on the University of Ghana campus at a time when on the uni campus of University of Ghana, you dare not show that you are an NDC person. I actually was absolutely known as virtually a lion for the party. Stood and fought for this party until we won in the 1992 contest. After that, played a number of very key roles. Work in the office of the former president very closely. At that moment, also used the opportunity to help the party in many ways. Became what you call the propaganda secretary of the party, now known as the communication officer. Subsequent to that, played a very key role in what you call setting the record straight, which was instrumental in winning power for us in 2008. Not only that, played a key role in making sure we stop NPP from winning, I mean, rigging election in 2008. A lot of people may don't know, but NPP did everything possible to rig election in 2008, even the strong room in 2008. Your own colleague Van Mensa will know, because I remember that day, we kept them aware of what was going on. The videos are available. It took the instrumentality of a few people like us who ensured, first foremost that we got the result collated on time and be able to know that, listen, all the shenanigans that we've been doing have to be stopped, and we stop them in the strong room. And those capacities are needed again now. Again, in 2024, election is largely going to be around the economy. And of course, you need somebody who actually is a champion on the subject, who can speak to the matter. And among the contenders, I mean, clearly they do know.
But rigging is certainly not on the table.
Rigging, you can never rule it out.
You have that suspicion.
Once you are dealing with MPP, you can be sure that they would go to every length to want to win election, because they believe that, listen, the end justifies the means. That's what the political party they've been. So you have to make sure, like we did in 2008, which unfortunately we failed to do in 2020. Okay, I mean, where we clearly were not in a position to be able to get our numbers early in time to be able to stop whatever shenanigan that was going on. We have to go back to the template of 2008, how we did in 2008, and ensure that we repeat it and stop that agenda of the MPP. So as I'm saying, you also need somebody who can speak to the heart of the economy. Somebody also who is connected to what I call the roots of the party, who can help the party rededicate itself to the ideals of selflessness, of patriotism, which are actually at the beginnings of this party, ensuring that we are getting understanding of what is at stake, because this is a country that is at crossroads. The youth of this country are losing hope. They actually are starting to feel that the two political parties do not really care about country, they only care about themselves. Right. So we also need a new breed of leaders who can literally inspire them and say, no, that's not the case. It is true that we are not perfect, but as a political party, we are not just anchored on genuine patriotism, which is love for our nation, but we are committed to ensuring that we do everything possible to change what you call the fortunes for our younger brothers and sisters and the generations to come. So that is going to require a new kind of leadership.
How is this catching up with the grassroots of the NDC? Because in the end, the endorsement would have to come from them through their representatives who are delegates. I'm sure you've heard the word or the refrain, fear delegates.
That's true. That's true.
How does that come to you as a politician?
But one thing I know also is that in our party, and not just in our party, also in MPP for life, for the most part, when you show delegates what you call admire long-term dedication, they admire track record of loyalty. They admire individuals who they know can be trusted, who when what you call push comes to shove, they know they can trust that once they are in the forefront, nobody is going to do any shenanigan against the political party. You of course like people who are able to what you call stand and speak with courage, people who have got the capacity to be trusted. Because at the end of the day, they want leaders that when resources become available, when we win power, those leaders can be trusted that those resources will be able to be managed well and also managed in a manner that it can be fair to everybody. So I believe the qualities that are needed, that the delegates are looking for, which are qualities of trustworthiness, qualities of courage, qualities of experience, one that cannot easily be pushed around. Those qualities are embodied right here, and the delegates clearly will be able to make a good choice.
Why are you leaving out the aspect of your ethnic background? It's come up. Some say you're playing that card simply because you come from the Volta region. This is the base of the party. In fact, Ketu South, where you served as MP, is deemed as the heart of the NDC, based on the track record, the numbers you've provided, unmatchable. I mean, some would argue. Why are you playing that card as well?
I wouldn't call it so much playing the card. But the truth of the matter is this, as you know, NDC is what you call a Congress. And as a Congress, we basically bring together the various, nooks and crannies of our country. Now, at every moment, you want to ensure that what you call the pillars of the party are well represented. So, for example, if you take our party, or maybe over the last few years, or let's say even currently, if you take, for example, the Speaker of Parliament, he comes from a certain part of the nation, that's Upper West. You take the minority leader, he comes from the Northern region. Let's say the outgoing flag bearer comes from the Savannah region. The outgoing vice presidential candidate comes from the Akan region, more like the Fanti region. The current chairman of the party comes from the Akan fraternity in the Eastern region. The current general secretary comes from the also Akan bloc. So to a certain extent, there is a case to be made that Volta region, which happens to also be, if you call it the World Bank of the party, need to be having a proper representation. To be
the Volta region is not properly...
I'm talking about, if you're talking about the hierarchy,
the hierarchy
if let's say you put in, let's say the first five of the party, you won't see Volta region represented.
Really?
Like that, unfortunately. But I believe that.
Should that be a big deal for the NDC?
I think politically it always makes sense, because you know what? That's the reason why, even as a nation, we talk about geographical balance. The need for different people to be represented. Take, for example, that you take MPP. MPP is largely the World Bank of the MPP in Ashanti region. It's completely impossible for you to look at the first 5 top people in the MPP and you won't see one Ashanti inside. That's a problem. So clearly, as a party, I think we are conscious of that, and it's something I believe the party will do to ensure the voter region has a pride of place. Because, of course, we represent a massive pillar in the NDC. And when you're talking about voter, you're talking about a 100% son of the region to represent that region, to ensure that that region is there at the very table when decisions.
If someone walks up to you to say you're being ethnocentric, what would you say to such a delegate?
I mean, then in that case, it means that regional balance then is ethnocentrism. Meanwhile, our constitution actually enshrines that there should be regional balance in the things we do. So there's no ethnocentrism there at all. Ethnocentrism is when it is that you are literally pushing aside other regions and only thinking about yourself. But we're actually talking about bringing together everybody to ensure that there is what you call, the interests of all the regions, or all the big regions are represented in the party. So I don't think that necessarily is a problem.
I'm interested in knowing your first 100 days in office, even, I mean, without admitting right now, or that the delegates will go in for you. We still would need to wait for that test in December. But once you get the nod, what will be on top of your priority list?
Is that not a little, you know, the thing is, not just far-fetched. I also feel that we need to appreciate that things have to be done in sequence. I mean, we first and foremost need to be able to win the hearts and the minds of the people. That's the people of Ghana. In order for them to feel that, listen, we can be trusted again. We don't want to take it for granted just because MPP is doing such a terrible job. It's literally bringing the economy to its knees, and there's so many problems. Automatically, we are winning. We want to understand that the people of Ghana, we still want to be convinced that we are the better alternative, that we love the country enough, we'll be able to do a good job. I would think let us maybe cross that road. I mean, when it is that we are reaching the places where we have manifestos in place, and you want us to talk about what it is we are proposed to do, I think we can talk more.
Some say the verdict is out there. The ERU is reporting that based on their assessment, the NDC has a better chance of winning the 2024 elections. However, the second leg is you need probably a new presidential candidate to revitalize your chances of winning. What's your reading into such a finding?
I would say that ERU, they've got it right sometimes, they've got it wrong sometimes. So we basically take all on board. And
but I'm bringing that basically because you're saying that there's no assessment out as to whether or not Ghanaians indeed are resonating with the message you sold out to them. There's some study to prove that indeed you have better chances. And that's why I'm asking, what would be top of your priority once you take office?
Yeah, I agree on the fact that our chances may look bright. I do not disagree at all about that. But as I said, I prefer really not to start going into what it is we are going to do in the 100. You know why? Because I think I should be leaving to whoever is going to emerge as a flag bearer to be articulating those visions. I don't want to jump ahead of that person.
You don't want to work for your flag bearer.
It's not about working. I don't want to start saying things. And he feel, your incoming general secretary has already said this and this is what you're going to do, therefore you must do it. No, I prefer to allow for whoever is going to emerge as that flag.
Yeah, but as general secretary, you're responsible for party welfare as well.
Yeah,
so on that score, on that account, what do you feel you'll be doing once you take office? Then?
You mean as far as party is concerned?
Welfare.
I mean, first and foremost is to ensure that we learn from exactly what happened the last time when we were in power. The last time when we were in power, of course, some mistakes were made at the level of the party. So you want to make sure you learn from those mistakes. You want to ensure, for example, that we do not have the situations we had in the past where party supporters felt totally disenchanted once we were in office because they felt as if there was a certain kind of broken promise. So you want to ensure that there is what you call fidelity in keeping promises that were made to them. Ensuring, for example, that the party continues to be strong, united, and the party inspires the government. The government does not come and suddenly forget that it came out of a party. So there is that kind of what you call harmonization between the government and the party. My own, should I call it, goal is that there should be a very close collaboration between what you call government and party to ensure that the manifesto of the party first and foremost is done. Because don't forget, it's a party manifesto that's going to be that's going to be implemented. To also ensure that resources are done in a manner in which those aspirations, not just of NDC supporters, but broader majority of the people, are used the manner in which that can ensure our chances of remaining in power. So that really will be the real undertaking of the party. Yeah.
And a big issue that will be on your table would have to do with the presidential primaries. Are you aligned? I need to be blunt about it.
No, I don't need to be aligned. I just need to, once you become what you call the general secretary of a party, your job is to ensure that there's what you call a fair, what you call playing ground for whoever is the most popular, to emerge. I don't think there is any secret at the moment as to the fact that one particular candidate seems to have the edge. But that is for the.
John Mahama has the edge.
Naturally, if you've been what you call an outgoing president, you've actually been a presidential candidate, you clearly have a certain advantage over new people who are coming. But those new people, it does not mean that they don't have a chance as well. Theirs is to be able to go out there and convince what you call the broad masses of the NDC that, listen, we can be a much better choice than John Mahama.
Fiifi, you are a former appointee of John Dramani Mahama. Some say that naturally makes you aligned.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily, because you know you must always appreciate that the number one interest is always the party's well-being. And what it is that the party as a whole wants is where you go. Now, if the party as a whole decides that John Mahama is the way to go, naturally, who will be happy with that? If the party feels that there is a need for a change, naturally, as a party, you go. So we, at the level, once you become what you call a party executive, your job is to want to ensure that there is what you call a clear, open field to allow for the person who is the most popular as far as the party's rank and file, to emerge. That's our job.
And unfortunately for you, or fortunately for you, you've worked with governor before as well.
Yeah, very closely. So
that puts you in a very tight kind of as to how you'd be able to deal with these two individuals.
For me, I don't look at these issues as a question of individuality at all. No, for me, it's party. That's what it is with me.
Well, there's more at myjoyonline.com, and bless us, you get updates there.